Hello, everybody. I'm Aidan-VR, and today we're here to talk about juggling, gaming's most underrated mechanic. For decades, video games have had one simple and addictive task: keep things in the air. This is juggling. Graphics and complexity have changed, but the thrill of keeping a balloon or ball in the air remains. It all started in 1980 with Nintendo's game and watch game, Ball. The goal? Keep the object bouncing without dropping them. Simple, yet incredibly fun. In the 90s, games like Tekken let players juggle opponents. They did this with flashy aerial combos during fights. Players needed skill to keep opponents in the air with precise moves. By the 2010s, Rocket League took juggling to new heights. Literally, players learned to control the ball in amazing ways. Juggling not only became a form of strategy, but an art. And today, Orion Drift brings juggling mechanics to a VR world. Players will face the challenge of gravity. So, come along with us as we explore gaming history. From old handhelds to modern VR, let's explore why juggling is the most underrated mechanic in gaming. And now to Palidore to tell us more about juggling.
Thanks, Aidan. I'm Palidore, and I'm going to be taking you in depth about juggling's history in gaming. The early era. Purpose-built juggling, 1980s. Juggling debuted in video games in 1980 with Nintendo's Game & Watch title, Ball. In this handheld LCD game, a character tosses and catches balls. Dropping a ball costs a life. Ball sets key juggling rules despite its limits. These rules include timing, control versus chaos, and influence without possession. Nintendo expanded this with Fire, where players bounced people from a burning building. Missing a catch meant losing a life, adding stakes. Arcade games like Circus featured similar mechanics. Players bounced an acrobat on a seesaw to pop balloons. Juggling was a central mechanic to these games. Emergent juggling, the Mario era, late 1980s through early 1990s. As games evolved, juggling appeared in titles not focused on it. The Mario series, starting with Super Mario Bros. In 1985, let players bounce enemies or shells. In Super Mario Bros. 3, skilled players juggled shells for extra lives and points. This mechanic grew from the physics system, showing how juggling can evolve from solid physics. Super Mario World introduced a cape that kept enemies in the air with repeated strikes. Juggling shifted from a main mechanic to a skill expression in platformers. Fighting games, formalizing the juggle, 1990s. Fighting games formalized juggling as a core system. Early examples like Street Fighter II had limited air follow-ups, but Tekken in 1994 embraced juggling fully. Tekken created a structured way to launch opponents and strike before they land. This added strategy, making vertical space as vital as horizontal positioning. Fighting games use juggle potential. This defines which moves can hit airborne opponents and how many hits can land before recovery. As fighting games progressed, so did their juggle systems. Marvel vs. Capcom pushed limits, while Dead or Alive and Virtua Fighter refined the system with environmental interactions. Physics engines and emergent complexity, 2000s. The 2000s saw advanced physics engines change juggling. Half-Life 2's gravity gun wasn't meant for juggling, but players found ways to control objects through repeated actions. The Trials series introduced juggling-like challenges where players balanced motorcycles on tough terrain. While not traditional juggling, it kept the idea of influence without stable possession. As physics engines improved, juggling became a natural interaction. Games no longer focused solely on juggling. Instead, they allowed players to keep objects in the air through their actions. Rocket League, perfecting physics-based juggling, 2015. In 2015, Rocket League showcased physics-based juggling. Unlike fighting games, it created a fully simulated physics environment where aerial control emerged naturally. Expert players maintained ball control with consecutive mid-air touches, creating a true juggling dynamic. The skill ceiling was nearly limitless, with pros discovering new techniques over time. Rocket League also improved the learning curve with training modes. Players practiced aerial control at slower speeds, mastering juggling mechanics step by step. VR and embodied control, 2016 through present. The rise of consumer virtual reality in 2016 opened new juggling possibilities. Players used natural hand movements to interact with virtual objects, creating a better connection to physics. This led to VR apps designed to teach real-world juggling skills. Research showed that practicing in VR with slowed physics improved physical juggling performance. Games like Knock blended bow and arrow mechanics with Rocket League-style ball physics. This created a unique juggling experience with arrows as contact points. Orion Drift, the culmination and new beginning. Orion Drift represents a culmination of juggling history and a fresh start. It integrates lessons from all eras while reimagining them for VR. From Game & Watch, it inherits the challenge of control without possession. From fighting games, it takes the vertical gameplay and satisfaction from executed sequences. From Rocket League, it adopts the complexity of a physics model. Orion Drift innovates by combining direct physical manipulation with a unique movement system. Players use physical locomotion similar to Gorilla Tag, swinging their bodies through the environment while simultaneously manipulating objects. In standard gameplay, gravity remains constant, requiring players to balance their own movement with object control. In space environments, both player and objects float freely, creating an entirely different dynamic. Back to you, Aidan.
Thanks, Palidore. And now, that will conclude our video on the history of juggling through gaming. How it evolved, how it began, and how it is now. VR juggling is by far the future. But we'll have to see how far it goes. Make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll be back with more content soon.